So location is great, of course, but that means that you have access points on the map. So another option I wanted to show you is map and floor plan. This is where you're going to locate where your access points are. So if you have new access points, you have to go to the location of your new facility. Let me get there, for example. Go to Richardson. And then if you have a map view, you can add floor plans to match your building. And once you have the building, you can place access point on maps. So if you do so, you click here, it's going to list all the access points you have in your network. And if you have any access point that is not placed yet, it's going to be on the right side. And then you'll be able to take that access point, slide it to the map, and put it wherever it is on the network. So in the end, when your network is properly configured, you're going to have all your access points on your map. This may take some time if you have a lot of access points, like in this network where we have, if I remember, 96 access points. So we have a few in one building and the others in another one. So you see we have still working in one building and I still have 25 unplaced access points. So the access points are located by the MAC address, right? So you need to know when you install the access points which AP is where, and once you know that, you can take the AP, take the icon, and simply drop it on the map where you know that that access point is supposed to be. If you made a mistake, you just undo. That's a nice way, and it's necessary. If you want to have some CMX feature location, we need to know where your access points are. Let me zoom out so we can see the whole picture. So that's a nice feature. Let me zoom back in so you have a better view on the menu. Another one which is very interesting is the Air Marshal. This feature is pretty much a rogue detection mechanism, which is something we'll talk about in the other solutions, AirOS and iOS XE. And what this does is that it lists all your access points, and each of them is going to be scanning around to see if it detects any rogue in your network. So for now, I don't have any rogue, that is to say nobody who's trying to impersonate my access points, but I do detect many other SSIDs. The good thing about this cloud dashboard is that it's able to detect which of these SSIDs are trying to imitate yours. That's what we call an evil twin, people trying to take your SSID and offer it to lure your clients into connecting to their AP because they think it's your SSID. And also, it detects if you have any malicious packets that are being sent out to fool your clients into thinking that their network is your network. So that's a very powerful setting. Notice that to do so, the access points will have to leave their main channel where they service clients every now and then and scan the other channels. You can decide when that happens. Opportunistic scan means that it's going to scan only when it has time. Opportunistic and mandatory scan, it means that it's going to set a schedule and it's going to jump off the channel to scan at regular interval to make sure to keep on detecting things even if the current channel is busy. Another parameter which is very useful for you to know about is in help. And here we have firewall info. Because the access points are going to communicate with the cloud, and initially they can use port HTTP, which is port 80. But in most cases, the cloud is going to open another port to talk to your access points. That port is going to also be linked to an IP address, which is which part of the cloud is your entry point into the cloud management system. Each network is going to be different, so what you see on this screen, which are the values for my network, may not be the values that you have for your network. So when you have a Cisco Meraki network, you should always go to help, firewall info, check those ports, and make sure that those ports are open on your firewall so that the cloud and the access points can communicate properly. There is always a plan B, which means that if this port is closed, the APs can always revert back to port 80, but you may be losing some efficiency and some dynamism in the update of the configuration. So it's always recommended to check that page and make sure that all the ports you need are really open. Another wireless nice feature is SSID availability. When you create your SSID, we said that you could have the SSID available on all the access points in any given network. But what you can do too, and which is very nice, is decide if you want to broadcast that SSID or not. And also if you want to allow that SSID to be only on some access points. And the way this works is that you're going to take one of the SSIDs, let me take this one for example, and then you're going to say, I only want that SSID to be available on some access points. And the way it works is that you're going to define a tag, for example, test. And you say, only on the APs that have the label test will that SSID be available. And then you decide on those APs if you want to broadcast that SSID or not. And then when you'll go to wireless access points, you can take your access points, I'm not saving because just to show you, but you can take your access points and select some APs, for example these two, and say that you want to add a tag to those APs, for example test. When I do that, I bring a tag on those APs, and because they have that tag, they will be supporting that SSID, while the other access points not having that test tag will not support that SSID. So it's very powerful in the iOS world and in the iOS XE world. This is called the AP grouping. That's a way to have a common set of features on some APs that is not going to be on the other APs. This is how you do it in the cloud. That's very interesting. And last thing I wanted to show you is going beyond the pure wireless. And there are a few things we can do here. One of them is firewall and traffic shaping. If you go there, you can decide for your access points and your SSIDs which policies you want to set. Let me zoom out so you have a better view of the entire page. So here you see you can set some layer 3 firewall rule allowing protocols and IP addresses in and out, and you can also define some layer 7 rules. And when you click here, you can define which applications are going to be allowed to what targets if you want to set that kind of setting as well, and which one are going to be denied. And then you can apply those settings to your SSIDs, for example, this one at the top. You can also set the same way per bandwidth limitation, and also traffic shaping to be sure to prioritize some traffic over some other. To do so, you will have to create a new traffic shaping rule, and where you're going to decide what kind of bandwidth you want for each of those clients and what kind of prioritization you want for each of those clients. And you can apply these rules per client or per type of application. But for this to work, and this is why I'm showing you this in this last advanced lesson, you need to have something to enforce those policies. And what is going to do this is the security appliance. So those options are going to work, in fact, only if you have a security appliance, because this is the one that is going to take care of your security and your QoS settings. So this is why this solution typically works very well when you have several components, because each component is going to be specializing in one aspect, wireless, for example, with the access points, but everything else, QoS, traffic shaping, security, is more specific of the gateway that provides security and traffic regulation, and that's the MX appliance. So that's an advanced settings, and you may not have those options in your wireless menu if you don't have a security appliance. And there is much more you can do on that solution. One last thing I would like you to be aware of is the MDM solution. What MDM does is that you can have a specific client that you download on your clients, laptops, Apple iPhones, Android phones, etc. And once you have this, you'll be able to manage those devices from the cloud. Not only to be able to allow them to connect to your network, but in case these devices are stolen, you can, from the cloud, connect to those devices remotely and erase all the configuration. So that's a very powerful way to control your devices, not only for access, which may be also very useful in environments like schools, where teachers want to control what is on the devices that are given to the students, but also in enterprise networks, where you know that if a device is stolen, you always have, as an admin, the possibility to connect and erase any information on the device before anybody can make use of it. So that's very powerful. But at CCNA level, what you want to be aware of is how network is managed, how access points are managed, how you create an SSID, how you manage power, how you manage settings, and how you can see those various RF spectrum and location information in the cloud. That's pretty much the extent of what you need to know to successfully sit the CCNA wireless exam. All right, let's move on and go back to the on-premise solutions with the iOS solution.